So, thank you for coming here. Thanks for participating. And you have something in your hand,
I do.
and that thing in your hand is an insurance policy. And tell us a little bit about who you are and who you care for and what the situation is. Because the reason it's in your hand is the situation you're in. So, talk to us, Maddie.
Hi, my name is Mattie McKnight, and I live in Hampton, Virginia,
Okay.
and I'm a caregiver for my sister May.
Ah. Are you younger or is May younger?
May is 10 years older.
Oh, 10 years older. So you're
I'm
the
72 and she is 82.
82. Okay.
And I got a call in December of 2022 from
Okay.
her saying, I've just been robbed in my apartment. So 6 hours later, I'm in Philadelphia.
Oh, so she wasn't here.
She's
She
in
was in Philly at the
Philadelphia.
time. Wow.
My sister moved to Philadelphia in 1959, and she's been there ever since.
Wow.
Never married, didn't have any kids, so she's all by herself.
And she worked in Philly, I'm
She
assuming,
she
before,
did.
and then retired.
She did, yes.
Okay.
And she was living in a two-story apartment.
Uh-huh.
So I'm, all concerned. I get there, and her neighbor says, "Not so much."
Ooh.
She was not robbed, and there was not a police report or anything to
Uh-huh.
look at. And during the course of 2 days,
Mhm.
I figured out that she needed a lot of help that she wasn't asking for.
Mhm.
So I initially said, well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back home, get things straightened out so I can spend a little extra time with you.
Okay.
So I came back within a week and started cleaning up her apartment.
And it was not the way you would have seen it prior visits.
It was not.
Piles and things out and
Lots.
everything sort of disorganized, but organized, disorganized. And did she give you any pushback when you were doing this?
Actually, I think she was ready to leave the
Mhm.
confusion because it was very confusing. You could hardly move around.
Oh.
So we had 2 visits from 1-800 Got Junk
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. Okay.
and moved a lot of stuff out.
Wow.
And she didn't really want to keep a lot of things because by the end of the second week that I was there,
Uh-huh.
1 week extended to
Yep.
2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, really, you should come to Hampton and live with me. I've got plenty of room.
Ah.
I have a 3-bedroom rambler
Mm-hmm.
all on one level.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, you can have your own room. And she says, but how much? I said, I don't only charge you like $250 a month.
Smart
That's
move.
much less than what you're
Smart
paying now.
move. Oh,
So,
good job, Maddie.
yeah. So,
So cheap that she couldn't turn you down.
exactly.
Wow. Good
So
job.
the actual convincing her to come was easy.
Yeah.
It was once she got here, it's like, I want to go home.
So when you convinced her to come, do you think she was really pretty scared most of the time and lonely?
I think she was scared and depressed
Uh-huh.
and didn't want to bother anybody.
Mhm.
But since I volunteered a
Yeah.
lot,
Had she
felt
lost
comfortable.
weight since last you'd seen her?
She had lost a lot of weight.
And do you think she was eating well at all?
Based on the condition of her kitchen and diet, I
Mhm.
mean, it was very crowded. I don't think
Mhm.
she was eating as well as she should have.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
And was she seeing a doctor at all that you could tell in
That's
Philadelphia?
the interesting thing about my sister. I don't think
Mhm.
she likes doctors.
Okay. Okay.
So a sign that she was not going to the doctor
Mhm.
was when I called the doctor and says, "How's it going?"
Yeah.
She was not really going on a regular
Wow.
basis.
Okay.
And because of that, the glaucoma
Oh.
that she had,
Oh,
she
dear.
wasn't using the drops. So right now she's legally blind in her right
Wow.
eye.
Oh, wow.
So
Wow.
we're actively working on that.
So she got here, and that's when you started to hear, listen, I can't stay. I'm ready to go back. I mean, this was just for short. That's a vacation. Now, I never said I was going to stay here. So
Yes.
were you able to get her to see a doctor once you got here or not really?
I am the youngest of 9.
Oh my.
There are 5 boys and 4, well, there were 5 boys and 4 girls. She's the oldest girl. So I actually turned into a bully.
Mm-mm.
A nice
Uh-huh.
bully,
A young bully,
a young bully.
a
So
young sister bully.
to get her into the doctor's office,
Mhm.
I started making spreadsheets because she worked in accounting, and so she dealt with paperwork a lot. So I just
Okay.
made everything a piece of paperwork, and I
Mhm.
said, "Okay, here's the visits."
Ah. Mhm.
And she would complain about it, but
She'd get in the
because it
car.
was on
She'd
the
get in the car
paper,
and go
yes,
because those are the rules.
yes,
So she's sort of a reluctant rule follower.
yes,
And if it's a rule, we follow it.
yes.
So when you've gotten her to, I assume, like a primary care doctor and then a specialist, where do things stand now with her condition, her diagnosis? Do you have something or you're still
She
seeking?
she has been diagnosed as maybe dementia, but she's passed the mental acuity test with flying colors.
How smart is your sister?
Very smart.
Hmm. How skilled is your sister?
She is skilled to still use her phone.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She can still cook.
Mm-hmm. How much does your sister want to stay independent?
She wants to stay independent 100%.
Uh-huh. So how important is it to pass that test?
Ah, very, very important.
So has she failed to do things in the past when they were really important to her and you have to push yourself, you have to make it happen? Has she been successful at that before?
Um, Here's an interesting thing.
Mm-hmm.
I've spent the last year trying to get to know her because I didn't really know her.
10 years difference. You were in
10
two different
years di-
families.
She left South
Ah.
Carolina when I was 8,
Uh-huh. And she went to Philly
and she went to Philly.
and made her way in Philly.
And she would come home with the nice hair, the
I was
nice
going to say, I
clothes.
don't think you get to go to Philly and be successful in Philly unless you're somebody who pushed yourself pretty hard to be successful in Philly.
Exactly.
Yeah, and she did accounting and she did those kinds of jobs
Yes.
in a time where women were not necessarily respected in the accountant field.
Exactly.
Yeah. So she's used to making her way.
She is.
Yeah. So what kind of symptoms are you and she dealing with her now that you're there more intimately involved?
Well, right now, I'd say the major one is depression
Mm-hmm.
because she belonged to a church
Ah.
and she had friends
Mm-hmm.
and she misses them.
In reality, I'm gonna check in with you. In reality, how long ago in the past do you think that actually was versus a recent of 2 years or 3 years experience? Have you talked with any of the friends?
Oh, I've actually had them come and visit
Uh-huh.
in the last
How
month.
long was it since they felt really connected to her?
Oh, just recently.
So she
So
actually
she
was
actually,
she did have
she actually
friends and
did
she
have
was
friends.
connected.
Yes,
Okay, so she is missing that.
she is missing them.
And you've done some things to try to keep that going.
We've made 3 visits to Philadelphia
Wow.
since we left,
Wow.
and I've invited the friends down.
Mhm.
They've been down once. They're going to
Uh-huh.
come
How
again.
does she do with new church, new friends?
We haven't really connected with the local church,
Okay.
so
Is
it's
that been something you've not been active in a church,
have
I'd say
not.
right off.
Right,
So that's where you don't have that in your background to offer to her
right.
as something. And your faith and her faith similar or
They're the
different?
same.
They're the
They're
same.
the same.
Okay.
We're both United Methodists.
Okay.
She was just more active than
More
me.
active than you.
Yes.
Yeah. What else has she gotten active in? Anything you said depression was a major thing.
She has difficulty walking, so she
Oh.
really started liking the physical therapy sessions. She had about 20. So
Okay.
that got her motivated. In fact, she was actually exercising in the house.
Cool.
But lately, we haven't really done anything,
Mhm.
and the eye problems took on a new
Mhm.
dimension.
Yeah. I
So
can't see to go places. I can't see to do things.
Yeah.
Historically, how did she like to spend her time when she wasn't working?
This is the thing,
Mm.
reading,
Ooh.
sitting and reading, and on her phone now takes the place of that.
And so yeah, any audio thing, or she's a reader, not a listener?
She's a reader.
Bummer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any symptoms of thinking things have happened when they haven't, believing people are coming in?
Lots of that.
Okay.
Her hair is probably her crowning glory.
Mm-hmm.
So she has delusions about people cutting her hair,
Okay.
taking her bobby pins, taking her, because she still uses the old-fashioned
The old-fashioned
curlers.
curlers? Oh my
Yeah.
heavens, wow.
So there's a lot of delusions
A lot
around
of
her
that.
hair.
Yeah. So when you've gotten down here and you've gotten her into the doctor and you've gotten a neurology, it's just, she passed the test. Have they talked at all about the possibility of Lewy body dementia or atypical dementias that
They
are
couldn't even
not?
go that far. What they
Huh.
suggested was counseling, to which she said, no, absolutely not. There's nothing wrong with me. In fact, I want to go have pizza. This is what she told me on the day that they suggested counseling.
Great.
So,
So I'd rather have pizza than talk about stuff.
exactly.
So I notice you have the phone because your concern is there's something.
We just got back from Baltimore 2 days ago. My sisters, and I have 2 other sisters.
Right.
They gave me a wonderful Christmas present and kept her for 2 weeks over the holidays.
In Baltimore?
In Baltimore. So I was able to go to Florida and visit my kids and come back and do some things around the house.
Yeah.
So I have cameras in the public areas. And since we got back from Baltimore 2 days ago, I'm not real sure where she's at, because that's a big switch.
Yep.
We switched her to Baltimore and switched her back.
Yep. And
And
you're
I've been
aware
kind
that
of-
when you do things like that, just like when she was in Philly and here, and then it was, I've got to get back home, all that in between was sort of missing.
When she's alone for hours and hours, because I've been gone since about 12.
Okay. And
I
it's
had
about 4.
Yes, I had a support group meeting at 1. She kind of gets frantic. But interestingly enough, she won't call me on the phone.
Okay. Do you think it's she won't or she can't?
She won't.
She won't. She can call you
She
other
can
times.
call, yes.
But
I've been
in-
called every now and then to pick something up at the grocery store. So
That's
she's,
when her brain is healthier.
Mhm.
When she's in a panic state of where's my sister, I don't know where my sister is. I wonder if she actually can figure out the phone in that moment. Because if you call her,
she answers.
and what does she say when she answers?
Hello.
I was like, just a hello.
Just a hello.
Okay, so she's an interesting lady.
She's very interesting. She's quite interesting in that being alone so much of the time, of all those 60 years, I'm sure a lot of it was spent alone.
Now it doesn't work.
It feels odd to be with somebody because no one has ever lived with her.
But the problem is without vision and with a brain that's tricking you frequently, it's scary to be alone and to not be able to get to the answers. I want the answers. I need to know the answers. So you're in a unique situation where objectively you know something is more wrong than people are thinking is wrong for her. And yet at the same time, although she knows something's wrong, she doesn't want something done that would label or
She would never
identify.
admit to anything being wrong. I mean, if I suggest moving something on the cabinet to help her, I mean, that's like a major, I don't need any help. So,
But if you were to say, I'm going to ask you for a favor, it would help me if I had this a little further over on the cabinet. Would that possibly be okay to try with you? Might she be willing to try it if it was to help you?
I think so.
Yeah. And so it's a really different way of framing how to help her by having her help you. I have a favor to ask of you as a way to have the older sister take care of the younger sister.
Yeah, now that you mention that, there've been a couple times that I remind her that I'm the youngest sister and I'm just trying to do what she did to help us.
Yeah. And so how alone do you feel in this journey that you're on right now?
I'm lucky in that my 2 other sisters are just a phone call away, and I have a great support system in my friends and neighbors in the neighborhood
In the
that I live
immediate
in,
environment that you're in. Has anybody else in the family, like a generation ago, had problems with dementia that you
My
know?
mom.
And what were her symptoms?
She put the milk in the cabinets. She was paranoid. She lived with me for 10 years. I
Oh,
moved her
so
up from I am
oh,
even though I'm the youngest, I
oh,
am
okay,
the
now the truth comes out. This is
yes.
not your first
It's
rodeo.
not.
Oh, are your sister's symptoms very similar to your mom's symptoms with some variation?
In the delusions,
Uh-huh.
yes, but
Yeah.
not in some of the anger. My
Uh-huh.
sister gets angry
Yeah, and your
sometimes.
mom was not as angry.
Yeah,
She was,
but
actually, but it was a mom angry.
it was a different kind of anger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what kind of support did you get for your mom? Did you get good medical support or not good medical support overall?
Early in her
Uh-huh.
being moved from South Carolina, she lived with me for 10 years and got all new doctors, all new medicines because everything that she was doing and taking was not good.
Uh-huh.
So I got her doing the early dementia when my
Gotcha.
daughter, who at the time was like 10 or 12, was accused of doing things like taking her heart patches and selling them to the neighborhood kids.
Yeah.
And then she moved to Baltimore.
Uh-huh.
So my other sisters got the real
The
brunt
heavy
of,
duty of
yes,
moderate to more severe dementia.
correct.
And her symptoms continued to cause paranoia, delusional thinking, visual hallucinations, seeing things that like kids or people in places that they
Not so
shouldn't have
much as
been?
the
No?
delusions that my sister has, but she would leave the house or try to leave the
Okay,
house.
so
and-
elopement and wandering and trying to escape.
yes.
Falls?
Yes, she fell a lot.
How about your sister? Any falls yet?
A lot.
Oh,
And
okay.
we must have the strongest bones in the world because
Good thing.
in the 10 years that my mother lived with me, she fell at least 20 times, but broke nothing.
She ever crack her head or fall and hit her head? No.
She broke her shoulder,
Uh-huh.
her arm. I can't remember exactly when she was
Do you know
actually
her-
put in care,
Uh-huh.
when she
Yeah.
was really having a lot of
Yeah.
other medical problems. She had high blood pressure and a heart problem and a lot of things
Okay.
like that.
Cool. So, if you had one thing that you would want to share with everybody out there, from your perspective of an older sister, being the younger sister, having an older sister, having had a mom, what's the one message for the community you want to share out?
Be observant,
Mm.
be kind,
Mm-hmm.
and just love your family.
Now, I'm going to give you a new thing, skill building. Do you think it's going to be important for you to build some skills in this role that you've taken on? Or do you feel like you have what you need?
I could probably be 200 and I'd still be needing some skills because everything changes about what we're doing and how we're doing it. So it definitely needs skill building.
So, how and where would you find that in the system that you're in? Or do you need to reach beyond that system?
Right now, the Council on Aging and the support group and different people I'm forming personal relationships with are giving me a lot of feedback and a lot of things to think about. And of course, the TIPA videos.
That wasn't a plug. That was simply, where are you going to
Yes.
get some stuff? Because I think, the reality is, even after 10 years with your mom, your sister's a whole different
She is.
relationship that you're building. Yeah.
The ability.
And you're getting older.
I am. So I spent 7 days with my daughter and her 2 daughters in Florida, and I said, "Look, guys, you gotta take note of what's going on here because I might follow that same path."
Wow. Wise woman.
Yeah.
There's no hiding in the closet. I mean, there's no
No.
point in hiding in the closet, but the same, you don't shove it in somebody's face, but acknowledging it could be
Yes.
me. So notice.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you, Mattie.
Thank you.
And thank you for being willing to step up and step forward. It's not an easy thing to do in the culture we live in. A little scary.
It is.
So I'm incredibly grateful because by seeing people like us do what we do, we encourage other people to do what we need to do, which is care for one another better.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.